Hey everybody, this is herculespetix, founder, curator, docent, and gift shop employee of the herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies. Today we're going to continue our look at rip-off comics. We're up to number 3, another fine issue, just chock full of really fun, entertaining cartooning. And we start off, of course, once again, with another Gilbert Shelton cover and illustrating the Wonder Warthog story that is within. Kind of another mini epic for Wonder Warthog. And we have all the little boxes on the bottom telling us all the various features. I've said this before, but I just love this. I wish all comics had this kind of thing. We have a Easy Wolf Kangaroo Court strip by Ted Richards. This time it's network executives on the chopping block. It's kind of a parody of Fred Silverman. His name's Freddie Filver. And he's just basically saying, yeah, I have to put pablum like this on TV for the ratings so we get a bigger share of the viewing market. So his punishment is to be filmed 24 hours a day. And I like this last gag. He says, what if I have to go to the bathroom? And the judge says, great, you'll double your ratings. Next case. So it's interesting that in a way maybe he predicted reality shows or webcams. This would be a thing, 30 years later, 40 years later. We have the Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers in He Who Hesitates. Once again, we covered this in the Freak Brothers episodes, so I'm going to kind of gloss over it. It's really nice art this time around. And Phineas goes out to the country to get some weed from his cousin he's a country bumpkin. And whatever. Hijinks ensue, let's just say. We have a little Fat Freddy's cat strip on the bottom. And then we get a bunch of Fat Freddy's cat strips. And these are very par for the course. Cute little cat jokes. We get a bunch of Griffith observatories, which is always good for me. I love these things. This one's called Objective Study. This is talking about how just design was better in the old days. Comparing Cadillacs between then and now. Chairs used to be nice and comfy, and now they're all uneasy chairs. And, they're fancy designers, but you don't even want to sit in them. It does a thing about logos. How old-timey logos were a lot more pleasing to the eye. This one's The Normals, and this is just making fun of, I guess, what the Church of the Subgenius would call pinks. The kind of people who just watch crappy TV and they don't really have any inner life to speak of. But it does show them in 1968, 10 years earlier, and it was a whole different story then. But now they've thrown away all that hippiedom and become these people. The zine scene. This is Bill Griffith talking about his experiences with editors at magazines and just all the weirdos and flakes he has to deal with. Ostentatious humility. And I guess this was a thing in the 70s, not putting on airs. Jimmy Carter was president. He was a bumpkin. That's what America wanted, I guess. John Denver was a star. People like the beautiful people were kind of dressing down, wearing cargo pants. The Warriors. I guess this is not topical. It's timeless. Just people who just worry about everything. Worry about their health, worry about the environment, even worry about celebrities and their problems. Media addicts. And there's just all kinds of media. Obviously, people addicted to TV. And now we got a 40-year-old hippie strip. Par for the course. Like I said, these are never that funny. To me. Oh, we get more 40-year-old hippie. And these are very typical. Him just smoking pot. And this one he talks about his first job where he was a dog food taster at a factory. Shoot. Even more 40-year-old hippies, unfortunately. So just typical gags. Once again, though, really like Ted Richards' cartooning. Just wish they were funnier. This is a nice one. R. Diggs, The Wings of Charlie. There's a little, he calls it a final fable for the faithful. This hippie sees a crane on top of this building. And he says, oh man, I wonder what that's like, you know, checking out the city from that point of view. So he sneaks in, climbs up to the crane. It's amazing. He's just like, it's too high for the pollution to get to, and there's sunshine and freedom. He almost feels like a bird, like he's flying. But then a crowd gathers, and they're like, hey, there's a guy up there. So they send a policeman and a priest up to talk him down. And they think he wants to commit suicide. But then, strangely enough, they're also kind of pushing him off in a way. But the whole time they're saying, oh, you have so much to live for. And they say, it's like, oh yeah, if you do come with us though, we plan to give you the very best of care. Shock treatment, drugs, isolation, brain surgery, chains. So the hippie's like, shit, maybe I should just jump if that's the alternative. But then he gets pissed off. He says, back off. And so the priest and the cop just jump on him. And once again, it's like they're trying to push him off. But the cop grabs his hand. And the hippie basically thinks, yeah, well, at least I can escape from the hospital. I'll just die if I fall. So he says, pull me up, hero cop. And the cop drops him. I'm pretty sure it's intentional. And the priest says, don't worry, Captain. You'll still get a medal. This way is so much neater. And as he is about to hit the crowd, he swoops into a little soaring arc and he starts flying. But he hears this thud. So at first he's all happy. And then he says, wait, did I just hear a thud? And then he hears this godlike voice. Yes, you did, Charlie. You keep trying to change things, Charlie. And Charlie figures it out. He says, I guess I messed up again, didn't I? I like this technique to show the omniscient voice using these letters. It kind of works as that God voice. So now he's got to go back in line and start all over. I guess wait to be reincarnated. Charlie says, it just doesn't seem fair. And God, of course, says, fair? Don't believe we know the word, Charlie. Here's another Dearly McDope story in the islands. And look at Dave Sheridan just going nuts here. I think he had some good speed that week. So Dearly McDope and his lady, Flo with it, are in Hawaii. And these trips aren't very funny either. But I imagine if you were a pothead in 78, this would be fun to read. Because it's about your life. But this is like a very upper echelon of pothead. I mean, it seems like Dealer McDope knows all these millionaire drug dealers. He has all these friends who are giving him the best drugs, the most rarest, great drugs out there. He goes to visit this, his one dealer friend. Well, he's a grower. He's got acres of land growing the best pot in Hawaii. And so they have a big party that night. It's a big luau party. A rock band is playing. Man, look at this. Dude, Sheridan. That's some illustration. Dealer and Flo go off onto the beach. They want to have sex. But they see a UFO landing. And the UFO gets closer and everyone's freaking out. And then Dealer McDope grabs a machine gun from one of the guards protecting, the plantations, and he blows it away. And they're like, "What have you done? You killed this ambassador from another world." He's like, "Screw that." And he says, "Look at this plate that fell off. Property of the U.S. government." It's basically a spy drone. Has a TV camera. And they're like, "Shit, we better get out of here. They've probably been watching us for weeks. They're on to us." And of course, the rich, the owner of the plantation, he's got a plane. And I guess everyone else is on their own. He just tells Dealer and Flo about it. And I like this. He's got some of his most primo crops at the end of the airstrip just for this eventuality. So the airplane wings are razor sharp and they have vacuum chutes under them, if you can see. And so as he's taking off in a hurry to escape the feds, he basically uses the wing as a scythe and vacuums up all this primo pot. And it puts it into bags in the back of the plane. And they're heading off to San Francisco. We have another nerd strip. And once again, not very good. These are by Dave Sheridan. This is nice. Nice addition to the Rip-Off Comics crew. Fred Schrier. I hope he's in other issues. I can't remember. But a one-page Stupid Stories. And this is about this antisocial guy who goes off to live in the wilderness, wants nothing to do with society. But after like 40 years of this, he gets a little bored and just wants to check out to see what's happened to civilization while he was away. And when he returns, he found a world full of giant carrots and ducks that recited cryptic sayings. And there was no one to tell him what the hell happened. Such an odd ending. I kind of like this strip, though. I love his drawing. All the exaggeration. Very cartoony. Next, we have Lunch Encounters of the Worst Kind. And this is, I believe, J. Michael Leonard. And we see this little satellite, alien satellite, fall into a city street in America, it looks like. This alien pops out. He's got like a little robot that's almost like a pet. And then this guy comes up to him, a dog owner. The dog is taking a big shit. And he's kind of yelling at the alien. I guess because the robot dog, some bolts have come off of him. So he's basically like, "Curb your dog." Even though his dog is taking a big shit that he didn't notice at first. So then he's yelling at his dog saying, "Bad dog." And then the robot sucks up the dog, this guy's dog. And the guy runs off screaming. And when he returns to his home planet, he has a gift for the Emperor. It's that dog turd. And the alien says, "Oh, it's called Curb." He thinks it's called Curb. Not that funny, but... Oh, guys, I'm so sorry. This is Larry Rippee. This isn't J. Michael Leonard. That's why I like the cartooning so much. I love Larry Rippee's cartooning. Great stuff. Here's J. Michael Leonard, Star Weevils, the barroom scene. So, just a little parody of the cantina scene in Star Wars. Once again, not that good. I kind of like J. Michael Leonard's cartooning, though. He's pretty good, but he's no Larry Rippee. And now we have our little mini epic, Wonder Warthog in Return from the Planet of the Pigs. So I don't know if you guys have seen the video on the channel. We looked at H-Bomb Funnies, a really great underground from the early 70s. And this is a sequel. At the end of that comic, Wonder Warthog was stuck on this planet of the pigs. And just like, he has this horrible job. He's basically a peon for the rest of his life. And so this continues where we left off. He gets $20 a day for his work. But apparently... Oh, it's basically Uranus. That's the planet of the pigs. On Uranus, unfortunately, a day can be 40 years. So he's getting paid $20 for 40 years' work. So on his coffee breaks, he starts scanning the skies to find Earth. He forgot where Earth is. I really like this drawing. And when Shelton does Wonder Warthog, it seems like he puts in more detail than normal. So every day, just a little, 5 minutes a day, he scans the skies, trying to find Earth. This goes on for years and decades, and I think even centuries. Wonder Warthog is eternal. And so his first day is over, 40 years. And he says, here's your $20 bill. And he gets a night job. He puts the money in a bank account, and then I guess the next 40 years, because that's how long a night is, he gets a job as a security guard, which gives him plenty of time to scan the skies. And it just goes on and on every night. Meanwhile, back on Earth, which the pigs, the Uranian pigs, basically nuked into just nothingness. Meanwhile, back on Earth, life is starting to form again. That's how much time has passed while Wonder Warthog's stuck on this planet. And finally, Wonder Warthog finds Earth. I think it's after 68,000 years. By that time, Earth had developed to the same point that it had been before the bombs. And it just looks like Earth, our civilization. Apparently, there's even a new Wonder Warthog, who's a little larger, uglier, and less intelligent than the original one. And he's just a big boob. So Wonder Warthog quits his job, and he flies back to Earth. And the first person he encounters is the ersatz Wonder Warthog. They get into a fight at first. Well, first they start arguing. I like this technique of overlapping dialogue. Because, in a movie, they might, like Robert Altman, would have people talking over each other, and you can't really understand because they're both talking. So this is a really good visual way of showing it, the two balloons crossing over each other, and so it's illegible. Just like if it was dialogue, it would be inaudible. And then they start fighting, and they both punch each other so hard that they're like, maybe let's just get a beer and talk about this, because this isn't sustainable. They go to this local bar. There's all these tough football players there. But when the two Wonder Warthogs show up, they each order 2 kegs of beer for themselves. These football players all of a sudden are like, let's get out of here. So they figure out, they basically come to the conclusion that the Earth isn't big enough for 2 Wonder Warthogs. So they decide to have some kind of contest. One will have to leave Earth, and one will get to stay. And the bartender says, how about a motorcycle race? And they say, great. And so they run off. Unfortunately, Wonder Warthog's been on Uranus for 68,000 years. Doesn't remember a damn thing about motorcycles. The ersatz Wonder Warthog is actually quite well versed in motorcycles, so it's not going to be a very even match. We see some hijinks as they go to get their rides, and then it's the day of the race. The bartender's the referee, and he doesn't even tell them until the last second. He says it's one of those slow races that bikers have at their rallies. It's whoever crosses the finish line last wins. The challenge, of course, is riding slow enough without tipping over. So, actually, the real Wonder Warthog has the advantage because he's got like a big cruiser bike. Not really built for speed, but it's got fat tires, and his bike stays up just fine. In fact, he's like, oh, I could just leave it and go get myself a beer. It won't even tip over. So the ersatz Wonder Warthog jumps on his bike and figures, I'll ride his bike over the finish line. He'll be first, but he'll also lose the race. So Wonder Warthog stops drinking his beer, realizes that he's got to get on the other guy's bike and try to beat him to the finish line. And it looks like our Wonder Warthog loses the race, even though, you know, his bike crosses first. But then the bartender has another caveat. He says, oh no, the winner is the one who gets to leave Earth. The loser has to stay here. So our Wonder Warthog gets to stay on Earth. The other Wonder Warthog has to go to Uranus. And basically a Wonder Warthog, to be a nice guy, he gives him his ID and a few Uranian dollars. We got another Gilbert Shelton Advanced International Motoring Tips. This is once again just Gilbert Shelton showing off his gearheadness. This is a car of the future. Highways will be so ruined by the big trucks with their huge overloaded hauls. You're gonna have to have a car like this to drive on the highways. And we get another great little mini poster by Gilbert Shelton. Once again, this is the proposed office building, Ripoff Press. And it represents every stage of their development in one building. So this bottom layer has log pillars to represent how Ripoff supposedly started in a log cabin, which they didn't. And then a storefront, and then kind of a bigger factory. And then an Imperial, as they became, you know, more successful, the Imperial style. And then on top is an eco-utopian wilderness. I love these drawings by Gilbert Shelton. He gets so into it. I was talking the other day to one of our viewers, and I was thinking, like, God, in an alternate reality where there was no illicit drugs to, you know, fuck up your head, Gilbert Shelton could have been like this great architect or an engineer. He could have been designing cars for Detroit, or being an architect or making crazy stuff. His buildings all seem like they have some kind of, even though this is silly, this design, but it does seem like he thinks it all out, like structurally, how this would work. I just love these things. I don't know why. I could read a whole book of these, or not read, just look at them. They're really fun. So there you go, guys. Ripoff Comics number 3. We got a ways to go. I'm happy. Like I said, really entertaining comics. I just wish they were funnier and more undergroundy. But they're basically just it's a fun humor magazine. You know, this could have been on the newsstands next to Mad and Cracked. I don't think anyone would have batted an eye. I guess back then the pot references would have annoyed people, but pretty tame stuff. But also, it's almost like Gilbert Shelton collected the cream of the crop as far as artistically of the underground. All these guys are just solid cartoonists. So it's just nice to see this great cartooning. But also, other than the Shelton stuff, it seems like there's not many yucks in these. Every now and then there is, but you got a lot of guys like Ted Richards and, you know, J. Michael Leonard, who, not the funniest guys. But I still love these comics and still think they're definitely worth getting. So thanks for watching, guys, and I hope to see you next time here at the Herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies.